Therefore, it seeks pleasure and runs after pleasures, which is one of the ways which the desires and attachments of the world occur, because it's running after pleasures and attaching itself there. If the pleasures can be found for the mind within in meditation, it starts enjoying those pleasures also. And plenty exist inside. Once that happens, when you try to meditate, the mind does not create thoughts to take you out, but creates thoughts to take you back there. It becomes a help. At that time, the mind turns from an enemy into a friend. Yes, Frank?
I'm trying to imagine the form of the master. I always heard since long time Kirpal Singh saying that don't imagine anything because you don't know if the master will be is the perfect master or not. So just let the thing come by themselves. So it's hard to imagine, to try to imagine.
This quotation of one of the masters has often been interpreted, don't imagine the master because it could be anything else, and therefore don't imagine. What was not added to that was, if you imagine the master, it could be not the master but your mind making up, but you can check out with the 5 words, and if it stays, it's not imagination. That point was not added. So therefore, if you cannot figure out the master coming himself, and you have to imagine, when you speak the 5 words, the imagination will disappear. Especially you cannot see the eyes and the forehead of a master if 5 words are being repeated, if it's not generally the master. Therefore, there's a check on that if you imagine the master, it does not stay as the master unless the 5 words make the stable image of the master and he talks to you. Then alone it's the master. Otherwise, it's your imagination. It will disappear automatically. You can't hold it. On the other hand, to have the experience of love and devotion in modern times, there's nothing better than creating the image, because that's the normal way we do it. Therefore, we encourage, start with imagination to build love and devotion for the master, but do not take the image to be real till the real master's image comes, which can be checked with the 5 words. Yes?
A lot of spiritual discourses are aimed to change our attitude of life, our attitude toward life. Is it that is predetermined as well, our attitude toward life, like all other events of life? Or that is something we can change that from within our lifetime?
It's an interesting question. We are back to whether everything is predestined or not, or we have an opportunity to change. We are back to free will. The question whether we have any free will to change anything, if it's already predetermined. The truth, let me talk from the top. The truth is everything is totally predetermined. There is no free will. Now let's come down here. Back to earth. There is total free will. We can't even escape it. Everything we do here is with free will. So free will is completely real here, completely absent at the top. How can that happen? I can explain to you briefly once again, though there are a number of my talks on that subject, but I can briefly explain to you again that if you choose freely and it is not imposed on you by somebody, that's free will. If somebody forces me to do something, that's not free will. But if my mind itself decides what to do, that would be free will. Now when my mind decides what to do, how does it decide? How does the mind decide what to do in every situation? There are only 2 kinds of factors that affect choice. The hereditary factors, genetic factors, and the acquired factors. What we have acquired up to the point of choice making. They never change. They are the same. Therefore, given those factors of choice, you which you don't know, which you don't remember at all, you are using those subconsciously to make a choice, and you think the choice was made now freely. It's only a free choice that will use only the inner factors of choice, which are already fixed. Therefore, indeed, it's already fixed. Somebody who already knows what those factors are can predict in writing, as has happened with me in one incident, who can predict in writing what your choice will be. And your choice, free choice, after thinking of possible way to decide, will still be the same choice. So therefore we have no real free will. It looks free because we are ignorant of our past and we are ignorant of the choice we are going to make. If we had knowledge of the past, or if we had knowledge of these factors of choice, or if we had knowledge what choice we already made and pre-recorded, we would have no free will. At the first astral level, free will disappears to a large extent because of this. Therefore, the free will is an experience at this level. There is no reality behind it, but it's a real experience. It has been made available to us as an experience in the physical world, so that with the same free will, we should feel we are the seekers. We are seeking. If we were told, you are predetermined who is a seeker, which Bulle Shah says. In one of his copies I heard last night, he says, it's all right, you should seek, you should do, but remember, it's already written. So he says in one of the songs. So what is already written can also be converted into experience of free will by not letting you what is written. So that's what's happening. At the next level, the astral level, we discover that the things that we thought were totally free were written. And yet we have the power to invoke our Master's divine intervention. That we can say, Master, I have seen my destiny, it is written, I don't like it. Can you do something about it? Master says, oh, I'm sorry to hear about it. Okay, I'll make a little change. So he makes a little change. You have seen the previous destiny, you have seen the change, you know it was not pre-written because Master changed it. Therefore, divine intervention has provided you a limited free will again in the astral stage, but very limited, because the original you already know, which you don't know at the physical plane. At the physical plane, you know nothing. At the astral plane, you come to know that there are some things which are pre-written, but divine intervention can change them, so you have some free will to seek divine intervention and use free will. Then you go to the causal stage, and you find the divine intervention was pre-written. It was pre-written that you would ask for divine intervention, it will happen, therefore even that was pre-written. Then you say, then what is not pre-written? If all this is written already, and even divine intervention, which I thought was only changing my written destiny, was also pre-written at a higher level, then what is not written? And then you discover that the Akashic records, which are containing our original destinies, which are not changed by divine intervention, when you seek the Master's divine intervention at the top of Trikuti, the three worlds, where the Akashic records are located, and he says, okay, you want me to change something? Yes, Master, I don't like that part of it. He changes the entire tape, but the Akashic records remain intact. Why? Because he changes from ab initio, not from any written thing. What he changes is the entire past, entire future for one little event. And therefore, there's no notice at all of any change at all. So, and you go higher up to Parbrahm. There's nothing written or not written. There are no destinies at all. It all starts from the third stage. All life forms, everything that we go through, all things that we can call written or prescripted end there in the third stage. Above that, there is nothing at all. It's just the will prevailing to create the three stages. Okay? It's a very beautifully laid out, complex scheme. Sometimes the mind likes complex schemes. Yes?
Can you explain a bit about the concept of four tenets?
Yes, this was a question put to me by a group of secretaries of satsangs the other day. They said that the masters say that you will not have more than 4 lives if you are initiated. When I first came to this country, people who were initiated by different masters, and they would talk to me and say, well, we have 4 lives to now go through this. And I used to get surprised how do these people know that this is their first life? How do they know it? Because don't you realize, if you get initiated in one lifetime and you die and the master dies and you haven't made enough progress to get to the second life and you are initiated, you will not know you were initiated before unless you do progress in the meditation. So how can you determine without meditation this is your first, second, third or fourth life? There's no way you can know it. Therefore, I would give them an answer which they would quote from the spiritual books. They said, some masters say there's only one life, that either do it or you fail. Some masters say there are 4 lives. Some say if you have just been called and not chosen, you can have many lives. This looks like a little controversial subject. So they go back to Swamiji of Agra's teachings, where he talks of 4 lives. He says, Ek Janam Gur Bhakti. You understand, but I'll translate also for others. Ek Janam Gur Bhakti, Nanam Janam Dusre Naam, Tisre Janam Turiyapad, Chauthe Mein Nij Dham. This is from Swamiji's Bani. He says, in the first, you are only made into a spiritual seeker, and you become a devotee of a master. In the second life, you are likely to get initiated. In the third life, you will be able to reach Turiya Pad, which will be able to reach the astral and causal stages. In the fourth life, you will reach Sachkhand. Therefore, he has laid out a program of 4 lives. Now, my father was an initiate of great master. He was at home when a satsang was held where this subject came up of 4 lives, and somebody asked these very questions. Their great master emphasized, don't worry about 4 lives. That's the maximum. Do everything in 1 life. Maximum is 4. It doesn't mean you have to wait for 4. Great master said with great authority. My father heard it from a friend who attended satsang, and he went back to master. He said, Master, I heard you saying today that we cannot have more than 4 lives after initiation. Is that true? He said, why are you asking Lekhraj? That was his name, my father's name. Why are you asking Lekhraj? This is your last life. Why are you worrying about it? He says, no, I am worried because I might like a 5th one. He said, are you confining us to 4 lives? Supposing you come back again and again, you think I'll stay back? If you happen to be here in my 5th life, you're going to lock me out there in Sachkhand? I'd like to come back too. Then Great Master laughed at this humorous side of it, and he said, the truth is, now I'm quoting you what Great Master explained about the 4 lives. And that's the true answer. Great Master said, 4 lives does not mean everybody has to go through 4 lives. If an initiate, after initiation from a perfect living master, which means if he has been initiated by other masters, leave that period aside. That can be 1 or 2 or 3 lives. That's separate. If an initiate is an initiate of a perfect living master and follows what the master says and leads the life of a Gurmukh, that's his last life. He'll not come again. If an initiate of a perfect living master cannot complete his work, cannot fully execute what is required to do on the spiritual path, cannot do 2.5 hour bhajan or whatever the master says should be done, if he cannot follow, trips again and again from it, he may get a second life. Which life will be better in circumstances, because in the first life at initiation, all Sinchit karma will have been destroyed. The next life will be formed only from the Kariman karma of that one life. It will be much smaller and much better. Next life will be much better, more conducive to doing meditation, and you'll go home on the second life. If a person completely gives away the path and says, no, this was just a hoax, I don't think I believe it, but it so happens that the master initiates him. Now, you can't say he initiates by mistakes. I don't think he makes mistakes, but if he initiates him, out of a strange kind of compassion, which I haven't talked of today. Next time you meet me, please remind me of how the compassion of a master works. I'll give you some very good details of that. But if he does initiate a person who gives up the path, he will then do what he would have done in the first life, the second, and then he has to come for a third life. Only those who become nindaks, critics of the master, and go against him and hate him and even torture and kill him, they come for the fourth life. So don't think that 4 lives is everybody's destiny. Make your destiny one life. Okay? Yes.
Is it advisable to tell to people who are not initiated to learn, who want to meditate, to sit at the solar center and maybe to listen to the sound, because they can have access to your internet talks even. So can these people who, sometimes people ask us, oh, what can I do to meditate, but maybe they are not ready to initiate. So can they learn to sit in the center and maybe learn to the sound inside like this, without being initiated, without any stimulant? Is it not dangerous?
Many people get the sound, get experiences inside way before they are initiated. How? They were initiated in the past. But they haven't found the master yet, but the work was so much. And I've met a lot of those people, by the way. I myself met people who from the childhood have been having their experiences. And they get initiated now because they are experiencing this progress without being initiation by an initiation that happened in the past life. It's not that they are new initiates. They are all old initiates. So initiation in one life carries on. It's not, nothing is lost. I'll end today's program by telling you the story of an engineer, which I've told before, but I think it bears repetition because that happens to so many of us. So many of us go to different gurus, swamis, do different kind of yogas, we do different kind of spiritual practices, and then come finally to this Satmata, or the spiritual science of the sound system. Many people have done other things, so this story will be relevant. There was a disciple of the great master who was an engineer, a building and roads engineer named Trilok Chand. He's passed away now. Trilok Chand worked in Burma, now called Myanmar. This country is called Myanmar. That time was called Burma. Rangoon was the capital, and he worked as an engineer for the government in that. Government salaries were very small, but he was what they called kanjoos. What is kanjoos? Miserly. Let me give another definition of kanjoos. If he held a 1 rupee note or a $1 bill in his hand, he would say, shall I spend it or not spend it? Shall I spend it or not spend it? Not spend it. Put it in his pocket. So he was that type of person. Because of this habit of his, he was able to save in a low salary job 30,000 rupees, Burmese rupees. But his seeking was so strong, he really wanted to find the truth, really wanted to go to Sachkhand. He looked all around. There were many Burmese customary yogis and swamis teaching different things. Then he heard that there is a swami in Chennai, in Madras, in India, who everybody said, Poncha Hoya. You understand what is Poncha Hoya? That he has realized the truth. And he can work miracles with people who are his disciples and they see inner light. So he went to get enlightenment. He took all the journey, resigned from his job. His priority was to get spiritual truth. Resigned from his job, carries his 30,000 rupees and went over and said, Master, I have come to get enlightened. Will you enlighten me? Master said, have you heard the story of King Janak? Have you heard the story? Oh, I have to repeat. Sorry for interrupting this. The story of the Trilok Chand. Now I am bringing another story in the middle. The story of King Janak. Once upon a time in India lived a king who was also a great seeker. His name was Janak, King Janak. He wanted to seek the truth. He wanted to know what real truth is, who we are, what our reality is. So he told his ministers and advisors, can I find out what the truth is? I am really keen to know it. The truth inside me, I want to know that. They said, Your Majesty, you are living in a great country. There are so many yogis, swamis, sadhus here in this country. Just have a yajna, have a big feast, a holy feast. They all love these feasts and they will all come and give you truth. So he held a feast, a yajna in his palace, and many spiritual chiefs of different kinds came up. Some with yellow clothes, some with red clothes, some with orange clothes, some without clothes. All types of yogis and swamis, some with ash covered on them. So he put up some little tents for them in the palace lawns, and he made himself incognito. That means disguised himself an ordinary person. An ordinary person, he went around in all the tents listening to true knowledge that they were discussing. He found they were all fighting with each other. My scripture is right, yours is wrong, my method is right. They were so angry with each other, some were coming to blows with each other. He was so disappointed. He said, these are very learned people. They recite from scriptures all the time. None of them has any knowledge of the truth within. So disappointed, he came back to his palace. And calling his advisors, he said, I was absolutely misled. These people are not the one who can give me truth. They were only learned people, but not realized people. And the advisor said, Majesty, you didn't call enough people. It was only 1 day show. Have a 7-day show. And we'll, by beat of drum, convey this message. All those who have realized God, all those who are enlightened, please come. The Majesty wants to get enlightened. So he said, okay, organize a 7-day camp. So then people came from all over the country. And he had to lay many more tents and make more arrangement for food and so on, for the lodging for all those people. And then he disguised himself again, and incognito he walked amongst them, and he found the same thing repeated 7 times over. That they were very learned people, they were very experienced in quotations, quoting from scriptures and so on. None of them were really realized with the top. Very disappointed. He said to his ministers and advisors, I am thoroughly disappointed. This is the state of our spirituality in the country. I thought we were a very country of great realized people. I didn't know they are not realized. They are educated. They are learned. But they are not realized. They are not enlightened. I want enlightenment. The advisor said, Majesty, if you want that kind of enlightenment, these people can't give you. But there is a master who sits on the bank of a river in a little hut. And he is enlightened, but he doesn't come to these parties at all. You have to go to him and invite him, then only he will come. What's his name? His name is Ashtabakar. Ashta means 8, Bakar means bent. So he was a hunchback. Ashtabakar was a hunchback with 8 bends like this on his back. So they called him Ashtabakar. The king went to Ashtabakar's hut, and Ashtabakar got up, Majesty, how did you come to my hut? I have not come as a king. I have come as a beggar. I beg you, come to my palace and give me the real enlightenment, the real truth. I don't want learned people. He says, certainly, Majesty, if you invite me, I will come. So, on the appointed day, King Janak arranged a big congregation of all his relatives, other noble people, other nobilities and kings and from Afghanistan, princes from other countries around, and very big crowd gathered in his auditorium in the palace. And they were all seated there when Ashtabakar arrived with 7 or 8 of his disciples. When they arrived, they took their shoes off at the entrance, that was the custom, and they proceeded to the stage. And the king had put 2 chairs on the stage, one for himself and one for Ashtabakar, the master. They both were sat down. But when the mystic was moving toward the stage, people were laughing and murmuring, is this what has happened to the king? He's lost his mind. to call a hunchback, crooked man like this walking, is he going to give any enlightenment? So they were murmuring, looking at his body. So when Ashtabakar sat down, he said, Majesty, King Janak, what is the price of leather? He said, Master, I don't understand their question. We have invited you to give us some enlightenment on spirituality. What has leather to do with it? Ashtabakar said, are these not all leather merchants sitting here? He said, no, they are princes, nobility. He said, but the way they looked at my skin, I thought maybe they're leather merchants. Then everybody realized this was some sense of humor in the man. They kept quiet. Then he said, King, if you want true enlightenment, you have to pay a price for it. Are you ready? He says, you can take whatever you want. My coffers, my treasury is open. Whatever you demand will be the price I will pay you. He says, I want 3 things. Master, take 10. No limit. No, just give me 3 things. Give me your body. Give me your wealth. Give me your mind. When you're given these 3, I'll give you true enlightenment. Very strange price tag. But the king was such a great seeker. He said, Master, my body is yours, at your disposal. All of my wealth is yours. My mind is also yours. I surrender. Give me enlightenment. He says, are you sure you've given these to me? Yes, Master. Is this body mine now? I can put it wherever I like? Yes, Master. Okay, walk up from the stage, go and sit on my shoes that I left at the door. The king said, it's an order of the master now, and it's a strange order, but I have to carry it out. I've given my body to him. So he got up and walked towards the shoes. As he was walking, all the people began to giggle and laugh. Look at, the king is really mad now, calling a hunchback on the stage to enlighten, and he's giving enlightenment by saying, sit on the shoes. What kind of enlightenment is that? And this king said, you know, they only think I'm a king with all the wealth, and therefore they don't understand. When this thought came to him, Ashtabakar shouted from the stage, King, you have no business to think of that wealth, you already given it to me. So, oh my God, I forgot. I had given the wealth to my king. At that time, Ashtabakar shouted, you cannot think what you've given or not given, you've given your mind to me. And he said, I can't even think. He put his hands like this, and he could do nothing. Ashtabakar gave his grace, he got enlightened. Ashtabakar said, King, don't go to the shoes, come back. He came back. Before this exercise, he did ask, the Ashtabakar had asked the king, what kind of knowledge do you want? He said, I want instant knowledge, which makes me suspect he was an American in his past life. Instant knowledge. They want everything instant. Then master had asked him, what is your definition of an instant? He said, instant is when I go out to ride on my horse, when I put my foot in the stirrup and then I jump on the saddle, that's an instant. So when he came back, at that time the master said, did you get enlightened? Yes, master. Are you satisfied? It was enlightenment. Yes, master. Did you get in an instant? Master, I got it in less than an instant. He said, what you got was a sampling of what lies inside you. To retain it, to get it again, I'll tell you a method. Within 20 years, you will get it again with practice. So, this is the story of Ashtabakar and King Janak. He had to give these 3 things. When Trilokchand, the engineer from Burma, went to the master in Madras, India, and asked for the same thing, he was asked by the master, have you heard the story of King Janak? He said, yes, master. Give me your body, give me your wealth, give me your mind. I'll give you enlightenment. He acted like Ashtabakar. He said, let's start with the wealth first. How much do you have? I would have been suspicious if I was the Lokchand at that point. He says, master, I have 30,000 rupees which I saved. Deposit in my account, I want to start building a temple. Now look at the man who couldn't spend 1 rupee, deposited his entire 30,000 rupees in the account of that Swami. He could start his temple. He said, now give your body. The practice of meditation I am going to teach involves pranayama, involves breathing exercises, and not ordinary breathing exercises. It's breathing alternately, once with the left nostril, once with the right nostril. Once you take the breath in and out from one nostril, second from the other nostril. Alternate. And you cannot use your fingers for that. If you use your fingers, the whole attention will go into the hands and the fingers. Attention must be kept inside. Therefore, you must use your tongue for that purpose. You twist your tongue back and internally block one nostril and the other. Since the tongue is tied down with tendons and cannot turn back, you will get the tendons cut off, as I have done. And the master opened out his mouth, his tongue came out like a snake's tongue. He says, I got it done, you have to get it done. And to make it a sacrifice of your body, I will not do it by simple surgery, I will sandpaper it, so that you bear the torture of your sacrifice. And I will use some what's it called, bichu booty. Do you know what bichu booty? Nettle grass, that plant which stings also. And I use the stinging nettle to brush off and then rub off this. It will take 1 month for the tendons to be cut off. And your tongue will be loose. Then you can practice meditation. Then you give me your mind, I'll let you know what to do. Imagine that man went through that torture for 1 month. And ultimately, every day would scream. And he said, but I want enlightenment. So he got his tongue cut off from the bottom. He could take the tongue out, twist it back, and he was able to stop the breathing from one side to the other. He practiced that pranayama for a long time, and he began to see lights and sounds. I would have seen the lights on the very first day they cut my tongue. Anyway, he practiced giving up his mind and practiced that. He saw lights, sounds and anything, did not think that was equal to the enlightenment he was seeking. He wanted to get answers to all his questions. He wanted real answers. Where do we belong? Where are we? He didn't get that. So his search continued after that. Eventually, a satsangi, a disciple of the great master, happened to meet him by coincidence and directed him to great master. And he came there, was initiated by great master, and made very rapid progress compared to other disciples. He was sitting with the great master, where I was also present, and I heard this conversation between Trilok Chand and the great master. He said, Master, if I had known that you are the perfect master, I would not have gone to that Swami and given him away my 30,000 rupees. Great master laughed. He said, Trilok Chand, you don't know one truth, that when you came to me, I transferred those 30,000 rupees to my account. Everything that you did there has been transferred to my account. You lose nothing by following any master. It's a step in the right direction. Your seeking should continue, and a perfect living master will find you at the end and take you home. It's a big lesson. A big lesson. We should not worry so much about which master we are following. So long as the master is telling us, go within, he will not be able to take you beyond where he has gone. Therefore, if your seeking goes beyond that, you will keep on seeking, and you will certainly find a perfect living master who will take you back home. Seeking is the secret, and don't stop seeking, no matter who is teaching you what. That's the secret. Okay? Thank you very much. God bless you. I'm very happy I was able to spend time with all of you.